enough talking about USW and just Indy pro wrestling so far. You know what? No, let's keep talking about indie wrestling, but let's also talk about WWE, a company I so despise so damn much. I've been looking at a lot of different wrestling practices. You know, I look at what a lot of promotions specialize in when it comes down to wrestling style, what they specialize in when it comes down to the overall storytelling ability of their shows and of their programs. And I always come back to the point of WWE because I see so much that they do so wrong. And I call them out, but I don't have as much big, I'm a fucking idiot, as big of an audience to listen as many other YouTubers have. And when it comes down to it, there has always been a big question in the wrestling circle. And it's always had to do with the critique that the WWE keeps misusing talent. They have so much talent, yet they keep bringing new talent in. You have to ask the question why at some point in time and start doing the digging. And a lot of people ask it so often, like, why do WWE keep getting the talent? They keep utilizing a bunch of this talent in such a wrong way that they just bury the talent overall. Why do they keep getting it? Well, I've always been under the assumption that everybody knew the answer, but it seems like the more I go in, the more we see weeks and months pass by and WWE fuck up more and more and more, people keep asking the question. Well, here's the answer. The WWE doesn't take the indie talent because they need it. They take the indie talent because they need it. Two different ways of saying it, but because there are two different explanations to it. You see, the first need is the need for new talent because they don't have enough. You see, they have plenty talent. They have Seth Rollins, they have Roman Reigns, they have Finn Balor, but at the same time, they've got fantastic pieces of talent. Fandango, Tyler Breeze, Bobby Roode, Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens. Hell, if you want to keep going down the rabbit hole, Xavier Woods, Kofi Kingston, Drew McIntyre, Dolph Ziggler, so on and so forth. A lot of talent that you wouldn't say, oh, that's not main event talent. Well, once upon a time, many of them were. Tyler Breeze was contending for the NXT Championship along the same road as Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. On top of that, Bobby Roode was the NXT champion once before, and you also had guys like Shinsuke Nakamura as the NXT champion. They also won championships all over the world, yet very few of them are utilized properly. And once they're not utilized properly, or once they're quote-unquote buried, they're just tossed aside. You see, the need that is not applicable to the WWE is the need for talent that they don't have. They have plenty of talent. They don't utilize it properly, which is why a lot of people ask the question, well, why does WWE keep stacking up indie talent? Well, because they need it. Because they, big old mighty end of the road, top of the pyramid WWE, is threatened. They know it. They'll never admit it. They're too stubborn, and they're too stuck in their ways to admit that they're struggling. Attendance, down. Pay-per-view buy rates, down. Network subscriptions, stable. It's $10 a month. You get to see all the good shit WWE has put on. And honestly, a lot of people will buy the WWE Network for the modern pay-per-views and for the pay-per-views that the WWE did right. That's it. They don't care about their weekly shows. Unless it's something new and groundbreaking or worth the time, they don't care about it. You think Swerved was looked at as anything but a waste of time in the audience? The audience's eyes? Oh, the one original series I liked from the WWE was their Too Hot for TV series. It was like 9 episodes or such. And I enjoyed it primarily for the fact that it was able to show a group of things that were so absurd in the WWE. They were open to talking about their craziest and ballsiest moments in a PG era. But that's it. It's not the PG. The BG era does not have anything to do with it. The WWE is threatened because now, guess what's popular? Not WWE. I saw this comment on Twitter, I think it was. It was, oh yeah, All In sold 10,176 tickets, and some jackass on Twitter went, yeah, well, WWE sold out a 13,000-seat arena last night, so, and I think I tweeted back something along the lines of giving him and offering him facts, and I utilized the same GIF he had used, like the same, oh well, GIF, because he was just completely caught in the moment. I think it was a case of, I said yes. Well, a lot of the fans in the arenas for Raw and SmackDown, because the WWE literally cannot sell out an arena if they tried. A lot of fans that are in the arena are given the full ride. They're given tickets to as close up as they possibly can get without having to pay for the tickets other people have paid for. They're given as many tickets for all their friends and family so that way they can up the numbers and so on and so forth. And even giving out free tickets, they can't find enough to fill out an arena. That's why they have the tarp takedown. That's why they tarp off a lot of the sections, just to make the arena look a little bit more full. But it's never full, because the WWE is not good enough to sell out an arena. The WWE is not good enough to sell out 10,000 seats or multi-thousand seats. And it was something along the lines of, yeah, the fans are given the full ride, as many tickets as they can, because the WWE is struggling to fill out in arenas. Pay-per-view buy rates are down because they know that the WWE does not give a shit. And on top of all of that, I said something along the lines of my usual low blow verbally. I said, yeah, next time you want to talk about a promotion outselling another promotion, how about you do more research than just look up how many seats the goddamn arena in question can hold at capacity, maximum capacity on Wikipedia, before you come onto Twitter with this bullshit. But dinner night next time, And I forgot who it was. I think maybe it was Joey Janela. I think it was Joey Janela that liked the tweet, or it was somebody. It was somebody, pretty great feature on the indie circuit. But the WWE packs a lot of this indie talent because of the fact that they can't sell out tens of thousands of seats at an arena unless it's WrestleMania or a bigger pay-per-view. However, the indie circuit can. Because Cody Rhodes and Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks, and of course, you can complain about the Bullet Club all you want, but even as a wrestling fan that only enjoys WWE, you have to give them credit. They have done something that you have not seen done in a long time. And you kind of have to give them more credit because of the fact that they were able to do something that the WWE's monopolization of professional wrestling has made almost quite impossible for promotions to do. Call of Greatness got lucky selling out 10,000 seat arena plus, but even then they had to kind of fill out the seats with a lot of different staff and everything. They were given a little bit of a ride, but they had to pay just a little bit, so on and so forth. But they were able to fill it out for a lot. They sold out Call of Greatness more than WWE can sell out Raw, which is kind of a big deal since the USW is not on the level of New Japan and Ring of Honor, and at the same time definitely not in the ballpark of WWE. But they do it so much better, of course, but when it comes down to it, you gotta give them credit. They were able to pull out All In, which is pretty impressive when you're an indie company, not associated with anything, that can pull in sponsorships from things like Cracker Barrel and I think it was Chili's or Applebee's or something like that, or TGI Fridays it was. And you can sell out 10,000 seats. That's made nearly impossible to do with WWE's monopolization. WWE's 3 letters are synonymous with professional wrestling today. But they're threatened. Because wrestling is passing them by. WWE thinks they're wrestling, but no. They don't know what wrestling is because wrestling has left them a long time ago and they don't remember its voice anymore. And they see guys like Cody and the Bucks putting on shows and pulling in pay-per-view buys and pulling in ticket sales and selling out these buildings that the WWE never imagined. With guys like Kenny Omega and Kazuchika Okada and Penta El Zero and Bandito and Rey Mysterio and Chris Jericho and Tetsuya Naito and Hiroshi Tanahashi even. You could bring in all these guys that are huge on the indie scene and you could sell out 10,000 seats arena, but they don't want that. And they know if they take a lot of that indie talent, if there were to be like an All-In 2, for example, if they didn't have the talent that they had for All-In 1, they likely wouldn't get as far as well as they did with All-In 1. And the WWE realizes this. You see, the less talent that the indie circuit has, the less chance of success that the indie circuit has of competing with WWE. You see, the WWE, as much as they say that they are a juggernaut of wrestling, they're not. They are as pompous and pathetic and poignant as professional wrestling can get. And the WWE is losing. They're fighting a losing battle. Because they see a group of individuals on the indie circuit, and they try to pluck them away, knowing that they could use the big money to lure them away from the indie circuit. And they know that despite the fact that they're dying, they still have the name brand recognition, the national recognition. So they utilize that to pull in a lot of indie talent. But my question is, you already had guys like Jericho leave WWE to perform more frequently elsewhere. You've got guys like Kenny Omega and Cody Rhodes and the Young Bucks and Adam Page and Kazuchika Okada, Joey Ryan, Christopher Daniels, Matt Riddle, so on and so forth. You've had guys make their name on the independent circuit and really be well-known names without WWE. They realize that. They see that. They didn't have to deal with that before, because in 2008, 2009, well, WWE was really the only thing you can get, you know? John Cena, Triple H, Shawn Michaels, the guys well established from beforehand, they were up the cards, but now, of course, they don't have that. And the WWE still resort to their ways. You know, they find one guy, Roman Reigns, and they keep pushing him, hoping that he'll be the poster child so they can work everything around him and have something stable. I understand that. It's not just that they want him to win, but they need something stable, and they chose him to do it. And aside from him, they have Rollins and Ambrose, who were only really here because of chance, because the WWE actually pulled their head out of their asses 1 out of the 100 times that they would actually still stick their head right back up, and it helped fortify Rollins and Ambrose. But then you have other pieces of talent, Braun Strowman, who really isn't getting anywhere right now. Brock Lesnar, who's already established. Well, they have fewer established stars than they did beforehand. Also, the question is, I'm sorry, I'm walking around in circles, but also the question is, a lot of people get is, why do they keep relying on talent from yesteryear to bring back so they can up ratings? Well, because they know they don't have an established talent now to be able to compete with the indies. And the only way they can compete with the indies is by getting the indie guys to kind of come over for a couple of minutes to watch the guys they grew up watching. You see, they utilize the old talent because of the fact that they don't have enough established talent right now to compete with the indies. It's not that they don't have the established talent or that they want to rely on the veterans because it's easier, but because it's the only way for them to drag indie fans back. 5 years ago, you wouldn't have seen All In sell out Chicago, Illinois. You do now. And the WWE realizes this. 5 years is a really short amount of time in pro wrestling. Why do you think they scrambled and scrambled to get everybody from All In an offer at the very least? Why do you think they've been trying to target the Young Bucks and Cody Rhodes and Kenny Omega, and they have their expiration of on their contracts circled in fucking bold black ink on their calendar? Well, they're the only hope that the indie scene has of conquering the WWE. And the WWE notices this because they no longer have the balls to compete. Because they can't compete. They are too inept to compete. And I get that there's a loyalty to WWE, but they take that loyalty and they kind of run with it. The more indie talent that is on the indies that the WWE doesn't have is more ammunition for the indie circuit to fight with in the war. Because this is a war. It's not the WCW Nitro and Raw war. It's a war in which you're battling for fan base, for recognition. I guarantee you, if Cody and the Bucks were to start a wrestling promotion with the goal focused in mind to be able to take down monopolization of pro wrestling and make it free and open and give everybody more opportunity, rather than the WWE, and they were, to admit this, and they were to get WWE's business model right down to the fucking base. They take the talent so that way they have no competition. They're afraid. If that were the case, they'd be able to build a promotion from the ground up, over time, and eventually I think you'd see a WCW versus WWE kind of mindset. I think you'd see a lot of competition against WWE, and that's what they don't want, because they can't compete anymore, and they realize that. You see, in the Attitude Era and in the Ruthless Aggression Era, they had guys like The Rock and Stone Cold Steve Austin, and they had guys like Triple H and Shawn Michaels, and they had guys like Undertaker, and they had guys like Kane and Mick Foley to build on. They had stars with a lot of name recognition. And the same could be said sort of in the Attitude Era, despite the fact they didn't have competition. John Cena, Randy Orton, Kurt Angle, Triple H, of course, Batista, The Undertaker still, Kane still, Matt Hardy, Jeff Hardy, Edge. A group of guys that had a lot of recognition. Fans knew who they were because the fans tuned in to see who they were. They didn't have competition, but if competition came in, they would be able to say, oh, you don't have Edge. You don't have Batista. You don't have Triple H, John Cena, Randy Orton, guys like this. Well, now we're in another era. We're in the PG era, the golden era, the fans era, the universe era. And we've got guys like Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose and Drew McIntyre, and Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn and Braun Strowman and Dolph Ziggler. Bobby Roode, Shinsuke Nakamura, yeah. Orton and Cena kind of still there, but they got a bunch of this talent that they don't utilize correctly, so it's to the point now where they can't say they have The Rock or Stone Cold Steve Austin, because fans aren't tuning in to see who these guys are. And they can't go to the indies and say, oh, you don't have Seth Rollins, you don't have Dean Ambrose, you don't have Dolph Ziggler, you don't have Drew McIntyre. Because then the indie circuit turns right around and goes, no, but we have Kenny Omega, we have Kazuchika Okada, we have Cody, we have the Bucks, we have Adam Page, we have Joey Janela, we have Joey Ryan. And hell, we've got great talent that aren't going to be like the world champions for years, but they're still formidable mid-carders, unlike what the WWE has. You got Grado, Bandito, you got MJF. A group of this talent that the WWE can't say they have, because they don't. They have talent. That talent doesn't matter shit when they don't use them properly. And the sad thing is, they don't use them properly, and that's the one fact that everybody understands. They don't use them properly, but they can't give it a second look because they can't compete. They quit. And they're trying to tell you this. This young mid-card talent that they fuck up on, they can't go back to because they don't have time to waste. The indies are knocking on their door as we speak. Talent, as a matter of fact, competition are knocking on their door as we speak. The WWE can't waste time grooming this talent to be able to open the door with and say, hey, we've got these guys, just in case you want to knock in and have a cup of tea. That's why they keep going to NXT. They keep bringing up guys. Because once they fail on Tyler Breeze, oh, well, shit. Fuck it. Put Tyler on the back burner. Let's bring in Gargano. Let's bring in Ciampa. Let's bring Aleister Black in. Andrade Almas. Rare occasion they'll get it right. But they don't get it right like the indie circuit does. Because the indie circuit will groom a Kenny Omega in the time it takes them to fuck over 4 pieces of talent, and then get the 5th one right. And the WWE knows this. And they keep bringing in indie talent because they keep fucking over the ones that they have prior, that they signed 6 months prior, 9 months prior, year prior. They groom them for the main roster, because if they don't groom them in NXT to the main roster, there's no point in utilizing their effort in trying to build them into a name brand, because the roster and the main roster wouldn't know who the fuck they were. Of course, that's less likely the case now than when they got Scotty Goldman in 2009. But, nevertheless, they need to have that somewhat name brand recognition before they bring them up. Otherwise, they're just wasting time. And that's what they're doing. They keep bringing in indie talent because they keep fucking over the ones that they put up to the main roster, and they're utilizing so much by going back to the well to bring out a new one and hope they get it right, that they're running a shortage. Now you got a group of other wrestlers that see this, and they're in this business, that see this so often, and look at WWE's business model compared to a regular promotion's business model, and they see the problems with WWE. A lot of fans don't get this because they don't see it behind the scenes. They don't see the business ethic and the workplace and the business model of a lot of promotions. They just assume it. They get what they see on rumors. They get what they want to hear. But they don't know the full picture. A lot of indie wrestlers get the full picture and choose not to go to WWE. And now that Jericho is performing outside of WWE more so than in WWE, Cody Rhodes had left WWE thinking that there were greener pastures. Punk left WWE because the WWE was not the end-all, be-all. Kenny Omega made his name outside of WWE. Kazuchika Okada made his name outside of WWE. Hell, the guys that WWE has right now that they rely on made their names outside of WWE. Hell, Roman Reigns wanted to do football before he did pro wrestling. The WWE is not the end-all, be-all. And it never will be again. Because they're scared. And they're frightened. And the more they take this indie talent from the indies, and the more they keep fucking over the talent, the more the talent will go, well, it's not really worth getting paid $500,000 over 3 years when I could make that much in 6 years, but keep doing that over and over again. If I go to WWE and I ruin my credibility, I'm not going to be able to come back in the indie scene and do what I'm doing right now. I'm doing what I'm doing right now, and I'm making great money for it. I don't need millions of dollars. I have what I need here. And I'm getting to do things on my own terms. And I'm not getting derailed by anyone. And I don't need to rely on anyone. And now you see more and more and more people doing that. You see so much more now. Why do you think the WWE goes for that name-recognized talent? Why do you think they don't scout for a Joey Janela before they have Joey Janela make his name known? Why do you think they don't scout for a Hangman Page before a Hangman Page comes along? Why do you think they don't scout for a Tommaso Ciampa or a Johnny Gargano unless they utilize them for enhancement talent and go, you know what, we'll bring you in for a little bit more. And then, of course, they break out because it was just by chance, but come on. And then you see what guys like Cassius Ohno, who was Chris Hero on the independent scene and was ripping everything up. Then you see him barely ever used on NXT, and you go, well, why do I want to go there? I'm doing just as much as Chris Hero did on the indie scene, so I want to go to WWE and become Cassius Ohno now. What's the point in that? And more people are seeing this. And more people are diverting away from WWE. And you may want to say, oh, well, Cody Rhodes and CM Punk have name brand recognition, so that's why they succeeded on the indie scene. Well, sure, you can give them that, but at the same time, look at the bigger picture. That's a great thing. Because of the fact that now these fans and these indie performers see guys with established names like Punk and Rhodes leave WWE. Huh? What do you mean you're leaving WWE? That's the end-all, be-all. And then they succeed elsewhere because they didn't need WWE. Well, maybe I don't need WWE. Well, maybe the WWE is not as cracked up as I thought it was watching for 8 years. And so the vicious cycle repeats. And then every year, the hot new talent WWE gets. A, because it's easier than grooming the talent themselves. B, because they're already running out of talent in NXT to bring up to the main roster. And C, let me give you a point. If you think that that whole clause is outrageous and NXT is fantastic and so on and so on, well, let me ask you this. If NXT was so fantastic and so successful and WWE didn't have an ulterior motive as to have NXT, why hasn't NXT been made into some sort of a brand yet? Why hasn't there been some sort of heat or velocity equivalent to NXT or for NXT to groom the talent like Cassius Ohno that don't get screen time. Or the Tito Santanas. Not Tito Santanas. Fucking, what is his name? Tito Capitelli or something like that. You get the fucking point. Why isn't that for them? Sure, there are house shows, but it's under the NXT banner. Good question. It's a really good question. Perhaps it's because they need NXT to be the developmental territory, their developmental brand. Because without NXT, well, they're kind of just sitting there waiting, and they have no time to wait. That can't be it. There's no reason for why when NXT went on a star shortage, you know, Shinsuke Nakamura was out, and Bobby Roode was facing guys like Hideo Itami, fantastically talented performers, but not stars. They had nobody to pull from NXT. NXT was kind of struggling. Well, why do you think the WWE product was so unbearable? I mean, it's unbearable now, but it was horrible. It was like there was a lack of effort. Almost like there was a depression in the creative room. I wonder why. Perhaps they were thinking to themselves, well, fuck, what do we do now? Perhaps there was other planning made in the backstage area for what the future was rather than what the shows were, because they were scared about the future, knowing if that they didn't have the plan that they had enacted, like it was, the show wouldn't matter. Perhaps the future mattered a little bit more. Too bad that little idea never made it into the creative department. Otherwise, we would be able to stand here and say, oh, the WWE has a chance. But no, it doesn't. If New Japan or Ring of Honor were given the same, I guess, recognition as the WWE is, put on cable television, given its time to succeed, and people gave it a chance, you know, watched into it, tuned into it for 4 or 5 months, weren't stubborn enough to have this stupid brand loyalty kind of thing, and give it a shot and look into the performers. Perhaps we'd look at both little instances and say, well, wait, now that there are two things here to see, and now that you can actually compare and contrast very easily, holy shit. Subject A is so much worse than Subject B. Well, you gotta fucking see then. I mean, if Subject A is the WWE, this living in the back end kind of era, then I mean, I would honestly prefer something more modernized, something that had a purpose. With WWE, I feel like I'm wasting my time. And the WWE realizes that because they are wasting their time. Every star they bring up and try to room, they waste their time once they've failed and they move on to the next. And it's getting increasingly more difficult for them to make a star because they're eating themselves alive. They rely on this yesteryear talent to kind of pull in a couple of indie guys back in, but it shoots themselves in the foot because then they have talent. They feed it that yesteryear talent, and they put the yesteryear talent over because the yesteryear talent won't come back to compete unless they get the win. So they're like, all right, screw it. Come back for about 15 minutes. Watch this match. All right, it's over. Please stay. What else are you gonna offer me? Well, you have Dolph Ziggler. See ya. I'm going over here. And then that talent they put so much effort into grooming, and finally got right. Now that goes wrong too. It's this fucking failed, flawed structure that the WWE has, that it's eating them alive. It's breaking them down. It's just devouring them. And they realize this, but they won't admit it. Long story short, the WWE take the indie talent. Because if they don't, they die. That indie talent gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and a competing promotion takes that talent. They use that talent properly, and the WWE has to work against that as well. And they take that indie talent for two reasons. For one, if they leave them on the indies, they'll eventually have them to worry about when competition strikes. And for two, the more they utilize this talent in NXT horribly on the main roster and keep having to go back to NXT to drag new pieces onto the main roster, so that way they don't waste time actually trying to prop these guys up and give them a fighting chance because they don't have the time, then they keep drying out the well in NXT. It's like you're scooping out dirt from a hole, but dirt keeps falling in. That dirt falling in is the indie talent. That dirt they're scooping out is the talent they're bringing up to the main roster. However, they're scooping that dirt out back onto the pile. That dirt's just getting a little bit of flip once it gets to that pile. My question is, what happens once that fucking dirt stops falling in? At that point in time, you just keep digging. You keep using talent that you don't have until eventually you reach sand that you can't dig. And you can't keep expending energy to dig out that dirt and that sand when there's no sand to dig out left and there's no dirt pouring back in. Then you have a depleted base of stars. Then you have no real talent. They want Kenny and the Bucks and Cody for a reason. Yes, they're promotional geniuses. They'd be able to tear the WWE down within a couple of years based off of just the fact that they could advertise correctly. But also because that's their biggest threat. Kenny, Cody, Bucks, Okada, Marty Scurll, I haven't given him enough love. Naito, Jericho now. They're scared because that talent, there's eventually going to be more just like them. And the WWE are bringing in guys like Johnny Gargano, Matt Riddle, Cassius Ohno. Because if they don't, Cassius Ohno on the Indies would become a Kenny Omega. And then they're working up against 7 guys, and 8 guys, and 9 guys, and 10, then 11, then 12, then 20, then 30, then 40, then holy shit, there's a new fucking wrestling promotion. And it's got a star-studded roster. Holy shit, I'm going over here. WWE, what? They're subjecting me to Dolph Ziggler for 15 minutes on a Monday night. Are you kidding me? Adios, fuckers. I'm over here now. I think you get the point. Sound guy's just sitting in his seat, relaxing, hands behind his head. He's nodding up and down. He is agreeing with. About you, booth guy. Cletus. Fact of the matter is, everybody knows I'm right. Everybody sees the logic in there. The WWE would never admit it. And I'm not going to stand here and say, oh, I'm right. Truly, I know nothing about the WWE's true wrestling practice, but I know actual wrestling practice. The WWE is nothing actual wrestling. They have nothing true to pro wrestling. So the WWE's business practice could be non-existent for all I know. But what I know is the regular business model of professional wrestling. And it's really pointing in the direction that WWE is going against it. And this is exactly what's against it. Building stars, not taking back stars you already made, but building new ones. And not harboring those new ones and then having to keep pouring in resources to make it better. Or to stop the bleeding. It's like a bandage over here. Too small. Bandage. Too small. Bandage. Too small. Bandage. Good. It'll hold for the moment. Oh, hey, oh, well, fucking there goes the bandage. Bandage too small. Bandage too small. The cycle repeats. They got Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose right by chance. And they almost fucked that up, too. What would you have if Rollins and Ambrose and Reigns were not on the roster? You'd have Brock, guy from the past. You'd have Braun, a guy that you will not put over somehow. Got Dolph. Okay. Drew. Alright. Sammy, KO. What about him? There's never a point in time where you can put Dolph Ziggler in front of my face, and I'll go, holy shit, it's Dolph Ziggler! Oh my god, this is worth $60. Are you kidding me? I don't think he would be worth a goddamn can of hairspray. I don't think he'd be worth a goddamn bleach job. No. Not gonna happen. The WWE won't let it happen because they don't have the time to make it happen. They just hope to get lucky. You got AJ Styles, Samoa Joe, who will face the same fucking wrath that Shinsuke Nakamura faced. Then what do you got? No Shield. You got Brock. Never there. Braun. Not there. What if you didn't have the yesteryear talent? You only had this talent, and there were no Shield. Who's your main event star then? Braun? Okay. Now you booked yourself into a corner. Who's going to beat Braun? Dolph? No. Drew? Maybe. Probably not, though. Bobby Roode? No. Styles? Styles got destroyed by Brock. Braun will just eat Styles. No one. Miz? Daniel Bryan? Maybe. Braun will still win. Too tiny. KO? No. Braun will just throw him off the goddamn new fucking form of the Twin Towers. Sammy? Nah. He'll just chuck him off half of them. Bobby Lashley? Oh, a guy you didn't make. Oh, you could say the same for KO and Sammy. As a matter of fact, you can say guy that you destroyed. Well, Bobby? Sure. Still probably wouldn't win. I don't think he had many options. Meanwhile, if it comes down to, let's just say on the other side, not to take sides or anything like that, let's just say this much. You didn't have Kenny Omega, Cody Rhodes, or the Bucks, right? You didn't have them on the indie circuit. Let's take that away. Let's take away the stars from yesteryear. Let's focus on the stars that they made now. Kazuchika Okada, definitely see him as a world champion. Marty Scurll, hell, you could see him taking the world championship and running with it pretty well. And you could actually have faith in that, unlike a run in WWE. Ooh, what about Tetsuya Naito? Absolutely. Are you kidding me? Absolutely. Joey Ryan? I think he'd make for an interesting champion. Joe Hendry. Joe Hendry. I think I may have said Joey Ryan beforehand when I met Joe Hendry. Not this time beforehand, but you get the point. Joe Hendry? Absolutely. He'd be a downright entertaining, fucking awesome dude to see as world champion. Sami Callihan? Absolutely. That dude be fucking nuts. Balls to the wall. Incredible. Fantastic world champion. I'd love to see that. Austin Aries? You can bet your fucking sweet tight ass I would. I would say the same for Kyle O'Reilly, Bobby Fish, Roderick Strong, and Adam Cole if they were on the indie circuit as well. Ooh, what about the Briscoe brothers? There's a challenge. Well, I think both Briscoe brothers could have a great chance at being a world champion in that kind of promotion. Especially if they used, the sort of tactics they would be known for. If they were booked properly, that's the word I'm looking for. What about Adam Cole? I'm sorry, not Adam Cole, but Adam Page. I always get them mixed up. I'm sorry. And I just punched myself in the dick. I'm sorry. Adam Page, absolutely. I think he'd make a great demented world champion that I think you could absolutely see battling with the likes of Tetsuya Naito and Kazuchika Okada. Do I think he'd come out on the winning end? Not unless there was, some proper booking done. But I think he'd actually be able to hand in there. Unlike Daniel Bryan and Finn Balor and so on and so forth, that I think wouldn't be able to stand a reasonable chance against Braun Strowman. You get my point. WWE don't have enough credible stars. New Japan, Ring of Honor, Progress, hell, Evolve, USW, they do have talent. Zach Hardy? Myself, I could absolutely see myself having a great match with Okada. Naito. Language barrier? Okay, sure, I can compete against that, but I think we'd have a fantastic match. Ashigeta? Fucking Ashigeta versus Tetsuya Naito? Brilliant. Match made in heaven. James versus Kazuchika Okada? Oh, you kidding me? That'd be amazing. Get my fucking point? Zach Hardy and Kazuchika Okada is a main event match made in heaven. Meanwhile, Braun Strowman and Finn Balor, two most likely non-part-time and non-Shield guys that can contend for the world title, I think that's a one-sided fight. The WWE sees this. They see their fault, like this, in that. And to harbor that They keep utilizing talent and giving them the same outcome until they stumble across a Roman Reigns or Ambrose or Rollins or Finn Balor that they just happen to barely get right. Will eventually fuck over, but they have them right for the moment. So they keep tackling in talent, but they have Finn Balor on the shelf in case they need him. And then the cycle repeats. I've been rambling on for 40 minutes about that. Almost 45. You got 180 seconds of commercialization now. You get the point. I've made my point very clear, and I'm sorry you've had to sit through 40 minutes of me saying the same damn thing. But you get you kind of get the point now. And I hope this opens a little bit of a door now where you kind of see this truth. Play brand loyalty all you fucking want. The fact of the matter is the WWE couldn't care about your voice as much as Stephanie McMahon wants to take her fake ass tits out and bounce them in front of a crowd to direct them away from the fact that they don't actually listen to their fans. They don't listen to what they need to do. I don't care if you don't listen to your fans. Hell, USW doesn't listen to their fans sometimes because sometimes the fans don't know what they want. But in WWE's case, the fans want better than what WWE is giving them. They don't care if they have Dolph Ziggler win the World Championship, as long as there's a reason. And the WWE will never give them a reason. And that's the story of WWE and their explanation as to why they utilize indie talent. It's not because they feel like they need more talent. It's because they can't utilize the talent they have properly, and it's slowly killing them. And they realize that. And they won't last another 5-10 years with this business model. It's actually a beautiful representation of business. If you're too weak, you don't deserve to have the business. The stronger business, the stronger company deserves your success. You fall away. That is WWE's fate. And if Bucks and Cody and Omega promotion were to sprout up, eventually they'd find the same fate WWE did, or will. They'll die out to a stronger company as well. Because that's the way life works. That's how these events happen. And at the end of the day, that's how it's going to stay. And that is why the WWE will fall. WCW is too weak for WWE. WWE is too weak for this modern day sort of monopolization. And that modern day monopolization will die to a better monopolization, I guess, if you want to say, in 10, 15, 20 years' time. Hardy Complex back in 180.